that could determine what doctors must do before providing an abortion starts this week.
The lawsuit was filed back in 2023. 2 years later, it heads to court in Johnson County. Keith Grant joins us from the newsroom with what's in that lawsuit. Keith?
Well, Mike and Rachel, the lawsuit was filed by the Center for Reproductive Rights and Planned Parenthood. It challenges 4 abortion-related laws passed by state lawmakers. First, there's a rule forcing doctors to tell patients about risks like breast cancer and premature birth. A judge already put that on hold, saying that those claims aren't credible. And then second, paperwork rules that dictate font size, style, and paper color. Third, a 30-minute waiting period after meeting the provider. The group says that serves no medical purpose. And then there's a law requiring doctors to tell patients multiple times that a medication abortion can be reversed. Overall, though, the groups argue these laws go against Kansas voters who decided they want access to abortion care.
The government has no business inserting itself into what should be the privacy of the doctor's office and the patient-provider relationship. It's no one's business what you do with your body other than your own.
We did reach out to the Attorney General's office asking what the state's interest is in defending these laws and if the state plans to appeal any decisions made by the courts. We've not heard back at this point. Rachel?
Keith, thank